Well, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folare, and our guest this morning is Mr. Ademola Adegoke, former, head of our department of EKDC, Media and also Media and Communications Department of the Eco Electricity Distribution Company. They've been in the news, that is to say all electricity supply companies have been in the news because after what seemed like a valiant effort at narrowing down on outages and all that kind of thing, it seemed to have become gaping open in recent times with, depending on your area, people not having power for upwards of 5 days a week in some instances. Well, if you've been following the news, NERC says that he's been battling with lingering outages, so it's in the news. And our guest would know as much about it as the next person. So he's just the man to have with us. Thank you very much, Mr. Ademola Adegoke, for coming on the program.
Thank you, Mr. Yori, and good morning to...
Yori is fine for me. You are the person that must be respected. Thank you very much, sir.
And good morning to our viewers at home.
And then coming out of the Easter celebrations. So we're in a solid day of work now, hopefully, from yesterday.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know how your area has been, but it appears that across the board in the country, there have been these outages, and we're beginning to see some of the reasons. We are told that we are addressing the problems associated with the segments of the power sector value chain. I see you nodding in acquiescence to that. Maybe explain that a bit for us. Gas has been fingered.
Yeah.
People have said that we over-rely on a single source for our needs. What, from your expert view, is the nature of the problem?
Yeah, the nature of the problem is, we need to, for the umpteenth time, one needs to make it clear to Nigerians the interdependent nature of the value chain in the power sector. So if one is not performing as it should, there is no way it will not impact the other. And that is what has been happening. There has been low generation, and from the GENCOs, as we have heard, there has been low level of power generation from the GENCOs. And when there is low level of power generation from the GENCOs, there will be nothing, or there will be little or nothing for the TCN, the Transmission Company of Nigeria, to evacuate to the various load centers, which in this case, we'll be talking about the DISCOs. The DISCOs are the off-takers. They are the people that will, eventually take off the load generated by the GENCOs, and then,
comes into our homes and our businesses.
And that has been, that is the value chain. But even beyond the DISCOs, we are beyond the GENCOs, the generating companies, we also have, the GASCOs, that is the gas companies. And so the gas companies have also been complaining of not having enough gas, to supply. So when they don't supply the GENCOs, there will be nothing for the GENCOs to, they won't have, enough to generate as much as the nation needs.
Is gas the main or the only, fuel that GENCOs use, or do they have multiple?
No, it depends. In Nigeria, we have two major sources of energy, of power generation. We have, we have the hydropower plants, and we also have the thermal power plants. The thermal power plants rely mainly on gas. And then, unfortunately for us in Nigeria, we will come back to that. You mentioned the issue of over-reliance. That is there. Unfortunately for us in Nigeria, we lean more to the thermal side, to the gas side. So, whereas you can talk of maybe just about 4 hydro power generating plants in the country. You talk of Kanji, you talk of Jeba, Shiroro, and Zungeru. Those are the hydro, the ones that are powered, through hydro system. The others, almost every other, so about 70% of our energy generation comes, via, thermal source, gas. So, I mean, it goes without saying that if there is any problem on the gas side, it will impact the whole system. And that is what we've been having, in recent time. So, the gas companies, and the gas companies, they are not supplying enough gas to the GENCOs. And of course, that it's not as if the gas companies don't want to supply. There are also issues on that hand. You have even the issue of pricing. How much is the gas to be priced for the GENCOs? That is an issue. The issue of debt, the debt being held the gas companies by the GENCOs is also there. The issue of vandalism of the gas pipelines is also there. So these are all issues that the gas companies are battling with, and that is why they cannot give the GENCOs enough gas supply as will be needed to power the plant and supply bulk power to TCN.
Yeah.
To TCN, so for TCN to wheel the power, to evacuate the bulk load to the discos. So that is what we've been having.
And also the frequent, perhaps, collapse of the national grid.
The frequent collapse of the national grid. Maybe I need to explain this. You see, there is a level, there is a threshold below which the system, when you generate. Let me explain very well that power comes from different sources. I have mentioned the bulk load comes from different sources. I have mentioned 4 hydro power plants. Then we have, maybe aside from the small high PPs and independent power sources and power producers, we have I think about 9 major thermal power stations. And when all those produce, when they generate, it comes into a pool. It comes into a pool that you now call the national grid. And there is, and then the balance of the pool, or the maintenance of the pool, is the business of the TCN, of Transmission Company of Nigeria, because they carry the bulk load and ensure balance. But there is a threshold below which power generation must not go. If it goes below that, it causes imbalance in the system. It causes disruption in the system. And that is what has been happening, because the system collapse that you are having could also be, could also result from the low generation level. When it is below, we operate at we operate at the level of 50 Hertz. That is our transmission system. Our grid system operates at the level of 50 Hertz. If power generation goes below that, there will be imbalance in the system. There will be disruption. So that explains why we've been having some disruption in the system in recent days, because the generation level does not match.
Okay, and so there's a sort of a base minimum.
There is
that for it to function,
yes,
appropriately.
Yes.
But most of the discos, most of the 11 discos have been blaming the whole thing on low generation and weak transmission.
That is it. If there is low generation, there will be weak transmission. So there will be load restriction, and there will be load limitation.
And what's the way out of that particular?
We are suffering presently. You see, our suffering presently is emanating from the fact of over-reliance on just one source of energy generation. We have that over-reliance on the thermal source. Maybe as a country blessed with so much gas resources, maybe we will not have had much issue, even if you want to rely on gas. But if you want to rely on gas, you've got to do the proper thing that you should do to ensure that the gas, flow, is does not have any issue. We have not done that. We have how strong or how stable are our infrastructures for the gas extraction and distribution. So both at the extractive end and at the distribution end, our infrastructure for gas evacuation and distribution is very, very weak.
Well, and this is a serious problem because apart from the homes, apart from the domestic, which people tend to always look at as, it's important, but hardly critical. Businesses, the entertainment industry, hoteliers, and all sorts of businesses, with the current price of fuel, which we all know the reason for, it just is adding, because they have to revert to generators.
Yeah.
We know what that is going to look like. We know what
jacking up the cost of business, and then they need to transfer, and they need to transfer that to the to the consumers,
and that is wrecking the bottom line of a lot of businesses. And unfortunately, it's getting increasingly popular, this whole matter of solar generation. A lot of people, when I say solar, on a small scale, there are quite a number of people who were getting by hoping that the generator was not getting as much use as it used to get, simply because they now have a solar device or contraption. But all of that has been wiped out in recent times when it's been consistent. So this is not a problem that we can really afford for it to persist, can we?
No, we can't. We can't allow it to persist. And that is why, I was saying that we need to now start looking at, exploring other sources. There are so many other sources of energy generation being explored by other nations of the world. And there is none of them that we are not blessed with in this country. You talk of wind energy.
My mind went there. Were you going to say that? Are we suitable? Are we suitably placed to be able to key into that potential?
We are not, because we have not planned for it. It is not as if it is not doable for us, especially in the northern part of the country. You understand?
Is it particularly windy?
Because
some states around the world are called the windy states in some countries.
So in some states of the north, you understand, we can explore the wind option.
Okay.
And it is cheaper, you understand, and it is also scalable. Scalable in the sense that you can do it incrementally.
Okay.
You understand? Okay. You do it on a small scale. Now you had to read. And the advantage of wind energy is that you don't even need so much land to do it. On a farmland, you install your windmill, and
this you had work by wind turbines, right?
Yes,
but
yes.
I thought you had to, because I've heard in other areas of wind farms, these turbines, you look at it, it goes for a long stretch. But maybe those are being done on a commercial scale. And
that's why I've said that it depends on the scale. Okay. It depends on the scale that you want to operate with. You understand? So it is. We have said that's why we say it is scalable. You understand? So that is even nations are also exploring the option of ocean. Tidal waves. They are, nations are,
sort of, that one would sort of double bank with hydro.
Well,
double bank a bit.
But it's different. We are talking of the waves now, the tidal, the waves and the tides of ocean. You make use, you explore it, and then, for the hydro, you dam.
Yes, you dam.
You dam.
And then
we have not, some people will argue that we have not, the ones we are battling with, we have not even gotten, we have not even gotten, made any headway. And you are talking of, like you have said, are you not being too ambitious? But then must you stay on the same level, forever.
Because what we're doing right now is looking at possible
options.
Options, you know.
Possible.
Let me bring in. Somebody has called in
okay,
and is on hold right now.
Okay.
Good morning, Mr. George. Good morning. Can you hear us? Good morning, Mr. George, calling in from Ikeja. I hope the telecom people.
Hello. Good morning.
Aha. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Now we can hear.
Okay, good morning, and good morning to your guest, Uncle Yori.
Thank you very much for calling in. Good morning.
In the area that I live, since last Saturday, there has been no light. So as far as Easter is concerned in this place, everybody
That's
is
right.
in the dark.
That's what we're talking about.
Uncle Yori, if you recall, the last time we discussed this matter on this program, I said the Minister of Power has not given us his roadmap. Up to now, I'm not aware that his roadmap has been made public. All I hear is that challenges, price increase, as if he's there marketing officer for the discos. We did not hire the minister to come and give us excuses. He's not the only minister in this country that is working with the president. You have the Minister of War, Dave Umahi. Have you ever heard him complaining? We have Minister of Internal Affairs. We have the FCT Minister. We have the Aviation Minister. We have the Finance Minister, the Budget Minister. We have the Trade and Industry Minister, a woman. Delivery. We have Mines and Steel. We have IT. We have CBN Governor. We have FIRC. We have Director of Customs. We have NDLEA. Are these people not working for this same government? Do they not have the same challenges? Please, enough of excuses. We want delivery.
All right.
And if he cannot do it, he should please get out. This man should not come and spoil the name of the president and the task he has undertaken to do for this country.
Okay.
He should remove it. Let them bring El-Rufai back to that ministry. He's the one who prepared himself for it. I don't believe in the excuse they are giving.
Okay, Mr. George.
I'm just fed up of this.
It shows. It shows in your tone. Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George, and laying it down like that. Because it's not, many people will say, people like Mr. George, or indeed not so much people like Mr. George, anybody with an analytical kind of capacity will say that it's a problem. It has to be solved.
It has to be solved.
And we need to be hearing what the roadmap to that solution is.
To buttress Mr. George's submission, barely just 11 days or thereabout, or let me say, barely, maybe less than a month in office, when the president, this current president, assumed power last year. By June, I think June 23rd to be precise, the new Electricity Act was signed into law.
That's right.
And that law kind of, devolved power, the power of electricity generation, transmission, and distribution from the central government to the subnationals, the states. But I know that, so meaning that the burden or the responsibility of power generation, transmission, and distribution was taken from the central and then given to the states to also come and play their part. But that law also says that for any state to fully come on board, it must enact its own electricity law. So I think Nigerians, I will come to the angle of the power minister, I hope time permits. Nigerians must not just fix their gaze on the federal government alone now, because the law now allows the state governments, the subnationals, to come, into the fray and play their own.
Provided they enact
their own law, which means you need to be prepared. You don't just jump into the fray and then you see. Enacting your own law means that you set up a regulatory framework, for your own power industry, so to speak.
Yes,
so what have the states been doing?
That
so we need to also interrogate that.
So maybe we need to also hear from the ministry, from the power ministry, because people are getting to where that caller, Mr. George, is at. That look, if you can't do it, can you move on?
No. The power is that same law that I just referred to also stipulates that within a year of the promulgation of that act, the Ministry of Power is expected to come up with the Ministry of Power is expected to come up with a master plan, for the power industry in this. So by June, it will have been a year. Yeah. I do not know, because the law requires that the Ministry of Power should within a year come up with a master plan for the power industry. So there should be, that speaks to the roadmap that Mr. George had talked about.
So before you continue, sir, Balogun, I think Prince Balogun has called in from Ojodu Burger. Good morning, Mr. Balogun.
Good morning, Uncle Yari.
Good morning, sir. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir. Okay. Good morning to your guests here too.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Then, sir, like what Mr. George just said now, sir, the way things is going, just note this my comment and statement down. You will see that the first years of President Tinubu, we won't celebrate anything about lighting. I'm telling you, just note it down. We won't celebrate anything about light. Let this government do light. Let there be light everywhere. In China, in America, in Germany, even in South Africa. Don't come to be talking English. If the Minister of Power cannot work, let them be removed. Just with such a time that this government has entered there, we will see, changes in like additional side, in some other sector. Let them be removed. We cannot be living in darkness for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
It's not wrong. Let them be removed. Every time we burn money on fuel, how can one be buying fuel? Just a small generator, 10,000 every day. Can these people send that money to electricity? See, Uncle Yori, they can make more money in electricity than petroleum or whatever. In this country, if there's light everywhere throughout the country, they will be making trillions. Because everybody who wants to use light with a prepared meter everywhere, they will make more money.
All right then. Well, thank you very much, Prince Balogun. Thank you very much. Doubling George's call there. Is the same theme that we need problem solvers.
Yes.
We need people of ideas. And this is what people are thinking, that look, it's a problem. That's why there are people in charge and they expect ideas. And at least two people now have gotten exasperated and are calling for the, well, how does one put it? They actually are calling for the minister to be moved on. Either he moves himself on or they move him on, because we're not getting any explanation or ideas.
I really cannot blame Nigerians, for holding that view. You can't, like I was going to, like I was explaining that the act that this current president signed into law last year, expects that within a year of its coming into force, the Ministry of Power will come up with a very clear roadmap.
Do you have any progress report on that? Yes.
So that, it will by June.
That's what George was asking for.
So by June,
I've not seen any roadmap.
So we've not seen that roadmap. And you see, having any issue, having a problem is not really, or any challenge, is not really the issue. The issue is how are you tackling the problem that you have. And that is what Nigerians want to see. I believe that even if by now, maybe that we have not really had any headway on solving the power crisis, but Nigerians are kept abreast of efforts being made and the blueprint that is on ground to tackle the problem that by in 3 months' time we will have done this, in 6 months' time we will have done this. You know, so Nigerians will exercise some patience.
Because all we're getting from Power Minister Adelabu is that, look, government is working on it and they're tackling the base problems, and these issues will soon be over. Generic.
I am one. You know, I will also. I want to. I want to align myself with the position. I'm not saying that you know, to the extent that it should be removed, I can't say anything about that because it's the prerogative of the president. But to the extent that it should, you know, avail us of, you know, the
explanation
of what is happening and the plans on ground.
What is he contending with?
What is and the plans on ground to actually solve, to actually tackle whatever is contending with. You understand? You may be contending with something, and if you are contending with something and you are doing it and nobody knows what, you are like a man winking in the dark. So you are, the power minister, you know, should not be acting like a man winking in the dark. A man winking in the dark knows he's doing something, but nobody else is aware. Knows that he's doing anything.
Let me bring on Barini in Port Harcourt. Did I get that right? Good morning. Barini?
Good morning. Yes, this is Barini. I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
Good morning, sir. Go ahead, please. You're on air now.
Please, this question of wind turbine, everywhere in the Niger Delta, Barini, B-A-R-I-N. Yes, anywhere in the Niger Delta, the wind is everywhere, and this wind turbine can be used.
Please continue. You were saying that just about everywhere in the Niger Delta,
there is
wind that can power wind turbines.
Yes, there is enough wind that can be used for this wind turbine to generate electricity. So it's a question of using it.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for contributing that. But you were breaking your communication. But
I think we've added
to it that indeed, yes, there are areas that are windy enough.
What this speaks to is just the fact that we are not exploring enough options for our power challenges. Even aside from wind, there is also biomass. The waste, energy can be generated from waste. So these are some.
When you say waste, that is waste, both domestic and
yes,
the other type.
Yes,
that is from heating it up, burning it, and the heat that's generated.
Well, whether you heat, whether you burn, you understand. The fact remains that it is a source that is untapped.
What is it called?
Biomass.
Okay. Biomass. Is it in any way connected with the Olushosons of this world?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It is. Okay. It is. The Olushosun you have here, you understand.
Is a veritable source.
It's a veritable source.
But untapped.
Untapped.
Wind. Untapped. You talked about waves. Untapped. Might these require the kind of infrastructure that is lacking, and that is why they're concentrating?
There is also geothermal, untapped.
Yeah. Well, geothermal, aren't we beginning to look underground into where volcanoes have their own activity? Isn't it that kind of area?
No, but I know that, yes, tapping from the heat, you understand, inside the environment, and then...
Whereas all of these are very nice to know, sir. Perhaps...
Yes.
Some might say academically.
Yes.
But
beyond that, if it is being done elsewhere, why not here?
We seem to have the infrastructure mostly for hydro
and thermal.
And these things are not exactly cheap. So maybe the minister, when we finally come to hear about him in layman's language too, let him continue to speak for the experts, but also to the layman. Maybe we'll find out that there are constraints. But right now, people are saying, look, sir, you'd better move on if you don't know what to do.
These options that we are, talking about, I don't know whether it is possible. Probably the Minister of Power or the Ministry of Power, is also looking into those directions.
So
but how do we know?
Everything.
How do we know that they are doing anything? And how soon are they going to? Are those plans going to crystallize into
But the latest is that the Minister of Power has appealed to Nigerians to be a bit more patient.
Yes, Nigerians will,
and that is the kind of thing that annoyed Balogun calling him from
If you ask me to be patient,
even Mr. George in Lagos,
I will be patient. If you ask me to be patient, if there is a timeline to my patience, to my endurance, if there is a timeline, but if it's an unending one, that is when people become worried.
Maybe we need to grab hold, if we can, of the TCN chief executives and all of those kind of people to come and talk to us with facts and figures, because they know all these things. And
the TCN, like I've told you, the TCN will also tell you that if nothing is coming from the from the GENCOs, there is nothing, there is little that they can do. And as a matter of fact, they will tell you that is the cause of the imbalance in their own system.
Yes.
So I think that, but whether you talk of the TCN, you talk of the DISCOs, or you talk of the GENCOs or the GASCOs, we have a coordinating agency, which is the Ministry of Power, and the Minister of Power sits atop all of this.
Indeed.
So it sits atop all of this, and is supposed to, so let Nigerians know what job of coordination of the various, segments of the power value chain, what it is doing to solve the power challenges in the country.
In short, Nigerians want better service delivery.
We just that is what Nigerians, because
even as they themselves are talking about the TCNs of this world, they're talking about vandalism, they're talking about electricity theft.
No, that one is there too.
All of these things are
at the gas end.
in.
Even at the gas end, you also have the problem. We have said that one of the problems we are having is low gas supply, and one of the problems of low gas supply is gas line, vandalism. Gas line, gas pipeline vandalism. That is there too. So, but whether you talk of vandalism, whether you talk of pricing, whether you talk of regulatory issue, you understand, causing disruption in the value chain, the Ministry of Power, you understand, is the one we know that has that onerous duty of coordinating and ensuring, yes,
onerous. But that a person was put in there because he was thought to be a round peg in a round hole.
So
it's not a walk in the park.
It isn't.
But people expect beyond what
beyond rhetorics,
has said,
beyond rhetorics, beyond buck passing, beyond the appeal, appeal for patience. People we want to see real service, real-time service delivery. You understand? Based on timelines. Because there should be timelines.
And why this is tremendously important is that, so what is a country without power? And Mr. President is busy looking for investors, inviting investors, and this is going to be a drain. What are investors to do? To go and install these mammoth generators and then begin to incur these horrible costs, whereupon the whole thing won't be anymore. Because it's an emergency.
When an investor talks about cost of doing, ease of doing business, it is things like this that will be factored in. How available is power in your country if I want to come and do business in your country. So these are some of the things that that is why Nigerians cannot wait to see this power crisis tackled headlong.
And it's among what Mr. President had promised would be squarely confronted and addressed. And that's why George was saying that anybody who is messing around with a roadmap that Mr. President had said generally, we need to sit down and talk. Are you going to remain in place, or are you going to have to move on?
Or you move on.
Okay, I want to thank you very much, Mr. Ademola Adegoke.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate you coming along and helping us make sense of this. We've made sense of it.
My pleasure.
But the pain remains. Okay, the Power Minister said, endure a bit. Okay, here we are enduring, but we can't endure forever.
No, it can't be forever. It can't be forever.
So thank you very much.